everybody. Welcome to Plugged into History, digital portal series brought to you by the Middleton Place Foundation. This is Let's Talk Tuesday, and this week's theme is Far and Away, and we're going to talk about the Middleton family in Russia. Believe it or not, some of the Middleton family members spent 10 years in Russia in the early 19th century. And with us today to kick the whole week off and tell us about it and show us some incredible artwork and objects is Dr. Dottie Stone. She is the research historian for Middleton Place Foundation. And we are just so excited to have Dottie here with us. Thanks for being here, Dottie. We are just thrilled to be able to bring you once again some really interesting and not really seen content when you're here in person on tours. So we are excited to share this stuff with you and forward our mission of connecting people with the past through American history. So I'm gonna shut up now and take it away, Dottie.
Good morning. Today we're going to talk about, this is Henry's grandson, Henry. And we tend to call him Governor Henry because there are a lot of Henrys in the Middleton family. I want to start with this. This is a portrait that was done by Benjamin West of Arthur and his family. Okay. Henry was the oldest son of Arthur Middleton, the signer of the Declaration, and his wife Mary Izard. He was born in England, and this picture, he's about a year old in here. And this is the era of the cherubs and that sort of thing. So he's a pretty big baby on here. But so this, and then this child grows up to be this distinguished gentleman over here. And during his political career, like his father and his grandfather, he was very active in politics. And during his career, he was a member of the South Carolina House and Senate. He was governor of South Carolina, and he was in the House of Representatives.
Awesome.
So he was.
Yeah, that's much more dignified than naked baby over there.
Yeah, yes, we got this distinguished gentleman. He, in 1820, he was asked by President James Monroe to go to Russia. He was appointed envoy extraordinaire and minister plenipotentiary.
Wow.
To Russia.
It's a lot of big words.
Yeah, and one of the things that helped him get that assignment was because, one, he was fluent in French, and two, he had money, so he could support himself. Ambassadors' wages were very, very low. So, and actually the family ended up going in debt because of their stay over there. They were in Russia for 10 years, as Karen said, and that was longer than any foreign ambassador from the United States had served at any time.
What would a normal length of service be?
3 to 4 years.
Oh, okay, so they overstayed.
Yeah, and that's what they were anticipating when they went, but it ended up being longer.
All right.
Okay, so Henry's father died. Arthur died when Henry was 16. So he didn't have the opportunity for college like his father and uncles did. But his uncles made sure he was well trained. His uncles, Charles Cotesburg Pinckney and Edward Rutledge, who were both, big in Arthur. Excuse me. Edward was another signer of the Declaration. Charles Cotesburg Pinckney signed the Constitution. So it was a pretty powerful family. But they sent him to Washington to learn up there from the other politicians, and they also sent him to Europe.
Okay.
And while he was in England, he met this lady whose name was Mary Helen Herring. Now, her father was in the military, so she was actually born in Jamaica.
Interesting.
And but he was a British soldier, and her mother was American, and they had planned on raising the children in Philadelphia, but the revolution came. And so Dad thought it would be better to take everybody back to England away from the fighting. So that's where Henry met her in 1793. They were married in 1794. And it is interesting that, Henry was a grown man, but he would not, it wasn't that he didn't ask her mother for her hand. He asked his mother if it was okay.
Well, sure. I mean, it's the daughter of a loyalist, and this is the son of a declaration signer, so I think that's probably appropriate.
Plus, Mama was a real mama hen. I mean, she had those children under her thumb the entire time.
Got it.
Okay. So in 1720, they set out. Mary decided she was going to go with him to Russia, but they had a problem. They had 10 children.
Oh my goodness.
So what are you going to do with 10 children?
And so by this time they've come back here. So they met in England, but they married and they were living in South Carolina. They were living
and they came back to South Carolina.
Got it.
So
10 kids.
Yeah. By 1820, they had 10 children, plus 4 more that had died during infancy.
Oh my.
So she had 14 children.
Holy cow.
But the 4 oldest were all grown. The oldest, Arthur, was 25. Henry was 23. Oliver was 22, and John was 21. So they decided they were going to stay here. Henry and Arthur both were traveling, so it was decided that Oliver and John would watch over the properties.
Okay.
All the Middleton properties, because Henry's going to be long gone, so they needed somebody to take care of things. The 2 oldest daughters, Mariah and Eleanor, went to Russia with the family, and the 4 youngest children, 11, 10, 8, and 5, went to England to stay with Mary's brother.
Okay.
There was concern, first of all, about the cold weather in St. Petersburg and the unsanitary conditions, and the fact that Henry's predecessor's children had died during a typhus epidemic.
Oh.
So they were afraid to take the 4 little ones with them. So they stayed with her brother. Now, Henry and Mary would not see their 4 youngest children for 7 years.
Oh my gosh. Wow, can y'all imagine that?
Yeah.
Well, let me not say that. People who have been quarantined with their kids probably think that sounds good right about now.
But yeah, I said it was originally just going to be a 3 to 4 year.
Sure, they didn't know that they were going to be there that long.
They were going to be gone that long.
Sure.
We have some wonderful letters between Mary and Catherine, between the 2 of them.
And hasn't that been, is that a book that's been published?
No,
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Eliza.
Yeah.
Sorry, different family.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
No, it's the same family. Eliza was the youngest.
Right.
But
different daughters.
Different daughters.
My bad.
Okay, so they went to Russia, to St. Petersburg.
To St. Petersburg. So if y'all can imagine traveling from Charleston, South Carolina, to England, and then to St. Petersburg with 6 children, and then 2, dropping off 4, plus the rest of the household.
Yep. It took 4 months for them to get from England to St. Petersburg.
Holy cow.
Yeah. You know, this is through Russia.
Right. No planes, trains, and automobiles here.
Not then. Okay. So they went to Russia, and they were very involved with the activities over there. It was expected that the ambassador would take part in all of the events sponsored by the court of Tsar Alexander I. And so Mary Helen, I always want to say Mary Edna, who was our curator.
Oh, wait.
Mary Helen went equipped, and this is a tiara that we believe was made in England. Now, we're not sure how she got it, because she could have bought it in England when she was there, she could have bought it in Paris on their way, she could have bought it in St. Petersburg. Our conservator and curator believe that it's English. It is it's aquamarine stones and a large amethyst on here with gold repose, which is the way the gold was processed and shaped.
Can I see enamel on there as well?
There's probably some enamel with the
little fans.
With the little fans, yeah.
Y'all, this is really particularly special, and if you're just joining us, we are talking with Dr. Dottie Stone, the research historian here at Middleton Place, and this tiara, y'all never get this close to it. It is out from under glass, so I hope you are enjoying this incredibly macro view of this beautiful piece. We did have a couple of them, not exactly reproduced, but historically inspired by jewelry maker Kim Walters of Sign of the Gray Horse, but those have been sold, so you'll have to come back again and see us and see if we have any more. But yeah, so Mary Helen would have worn that to court functions with
Correct.
with the Tsar.
Yeah. But there was the Tsar's functions and also the diplomatic corps had all
okay.
kinds of events on their own. So they were on the go all the time. Henry was tied up, especially the first few years, with negotiations with the Tsar. He worked on the fishing rights on the northern Pacific coast, the territory lines. It was after his time, during President Polk's time, when the 5440, the parallels there to settle the dispute. But at this time they set up so that Russians didn't want the Americans to fish on the Pacific coast. So Henry negotiated that and other things. This is a case that the tiara sat in. Now we think this is French because of the leather and the way the leather is tooled. But the tiara would slide right in there, the doors close, and it's safe. So
I can see how the Middleton family may have gone in debt if the ambassador's salary was low, but his wife was wearing things like this
Yes.
to diplomatic functions. Yes.
yes, plus just all the cost of going to all these things.
Sure.
You'd have to have special dresses and all that wonderful stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, while they were in Russia, Maria and Eleanor were real social butterflies. They participated in all sorts of things.
And these are the Middleton daughters.
These are the Middleton daughters. And one of the things that the whole Middleton family, especially the women, were trained in music. Because a proper lady should know a musical instrument.
Certainly.
So while in Russia, they got some sheet music. And they played at events, parties, dances to entertain people. So we've got the Russian sheet music, and inside, what are the words? The words are all in Cyrillic. So it's just kind of interesting.
My gosh, so the girls would have had to have learned enough to be able to read this then.
Well, no, they didn't sing.
Oh, they didn't sing, they played.
They played,
I gotcha.
yeah. So, but even,
Sure.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so this one was, all of the girls had music given to them. And I forget which one this was given to.
Beautiful.
But, so they were very involved in things. In 1825, Tsar Alexander died. And on Thursday, Mary Edna and Rakina are going to show you his portrait upstairs and the fete book of his funeral. So you need to watch that because it's really, really interesting.
Thank you.
But
yeah.
so he died, and his brother took over, and we'll talk more about him in a second. But then in 1827, 1826, Eleanor got sick. We know from her diary, she went up and down in her illness, and then we have letters from other members of the diplomatic corps, the wives, that talk about her passing away. Now, we're not sure what the cause of death was. Sometimes we believe that it might be what they called winter fever, which we know today it's basically like pneumonia. So, but it just says she died. We don't know what, and we also don't know where she's buried. She's buried in St. Petersburg somewhere. And some descendants that have gone there have tried to find the grave. And things have changed so much since 1827 that they haven't been able to find it.
The mystery remains.
A mystery remains. So after she died, Henry and Mary Helen decided, why should we be separated from our children if one of them's going to die anyway? So they sent for the 4 younger ones to come to St. Petersburg. Arthur, by this time, was 21, or
John
Williams, I'm sorry. Williams was 21, and he became an attaché at the legation, the American legation there. Edward was 20, and he joined the Navy. He went to Gibraltar on a Russian ship so he could join the U.S. Navy.
Interesting.
And this is his permission to travel on the Russian vessel. It's all in Cyrillic again, but this is how he was able to get to Gibraltar to join the Navy. He would then become a lifetime serviceman. During the Civil War, he fought on the northern side. He was, and by the time he retired, he was a rear admiral.
Oh, wow.
And he, after the war, he helped save the properties. He paid taxes on the properties to, so that they could remain in the family.
Fantastic.
While there, even though the Middletons were members of the Church of England or the Episcopal Church, the Russian iconography must have really interested both Henry and Maria, because this is a gift that Henry gave Maria. And on the back, he wrote, Maria H. Middleton from Papa, 1724, or 1824. So it's the Madonna, the Christ Child, and St. John there in the portrait. And we also have this locket, which is, again, was Mariah's from her father. And it has all, again, and if you close it up, again, this isn't something you're going to see. I've never done this before. But it closes up like that. And then opens.
Yeah, I need to get a good shot of it open because I didn't get one yet.
Yeah, there.
And sorry, folks, I know you can see my frame and my masked face in the mirror that's showing the back of it. Sorry, it's a mirror. How cool is this thing? Look at the thing.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous,
Look at the
yeah.
angels.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
So they had to have had a real interest in Russian church and Russian beliefs
Sure.
to have done this.
There's definitely an appreciation for all of the arts in the Middleton family,
Yes.
it seems.
And then this is a picture that was done of the three younger girls. The one with the hair piled up on top is Maria. The one with the blonde curls is Catherine, and the little redhead is Eliza.
Oh my goodness! Look
By
at
this time, by the time this was done, Eleanor had already passed away.
Ah,
So,
y'all, look at Mariah's hairdo. It's like a bow made out of hair.
yeah,
Oh, fashion is weird.
Yeah.
I love it.
and the long, the sausage curls and the whole thing. And this makes them look really young because by this time, Eliza had to have been 13, 14 years old.
Oh yeah, they are.
But
very
she
young.
certainly doesn't look like a 13 or 14-year-old there.
Dottie, we do have a question, and I know that you mentioned this a little bit with the tiara, but maybe you can speak to it for the other objects. Were all of these items, have they always been in this good a condition, or were they requiring any kind of conservation? I know that the tiara did require some conservation, but did anything else?
Not as far as I know.
Okay.
The tiara had to have major conservation. I remember the first time we were doing the annual maintenance, I went to pick it up to dust under it, and one of the aquamarines fell off. I about had a heart attack. I thought that my predecessor Barbara was going to come and get me.
Oh,
But,
no worries. It looks great, and you're still here, so
Yeah.
everything is
And
great.
so, but about two and a half years ago, the conservator came and completely redid it. Before someone had tried to do it, and they put lining inside and messed it up pretty
remember.
bad. But as far as I know, these things haven't had to be conserved. Now, in a little while, we'll talk about a major conservation project. But we have these. Now, a lot of the things that they brought back, we believe were lost during the Civil War. We know that there was a set of china that the Tsar had given to them. And we can only assume other things. They were there for 10 years.
Sure.
So they had to have collected stuff.
Certainly.
But what we have left is very small as far as that. Then in 1830, President Andrew Jackson recalled them finally from Russia. And by this time, Henry had been working with the second Tsar, Tsar Nicholas, and so Nicholas decided he wanted to give him a gift when they left. So what better gift to give someone as a parting gift than a full-size portrait of yourself?
Hey, selfie
Yeah.
gift before selfies were cool. I love
with
it.
the sable jacket or
Yeah.
coat and all of his tools, you know, his crown and scepter and
Super fancy
gold
fellow.
all there. Yeah. Now, we know that there was also a portrait of the Tsarina.
Oh, really?
Excuse me.
Huh.
And that's one of the great unsolved mysteries of Middleton Place. We have a sketch that Williams did of the drawing room that has the two portraits in it. We believe it was probably the same size as this one.
Sure.
And we have several letters that talk about the Tsarina's portrait. But we don't know if it was destroyed or if it was burned when the main house was burned by the Union soldiers. If one of them decided that it would make a lovely addition to their home, whatever. But she's gone, and we have no clue where she went.
Huh.
But this
crazy.
portrait of Nikki is
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to miss you guys. I know you're going to miss me too. Here,
Yeah.
have a picture of me.
have a picture of me, you know.
I'm going to
It's
do that
not
the next
quite-
time I go somewhere.
Yeah, it's not quite life size, but the portrait or the whole thing pretty much is.
That's great.
Then another portrait that came back from Russia has a really interesting story. In the 1980s, again, my predecessor, Barbara Doyle, Barbara liked to go on expeditions into the attic.
I like to do that too. It's a great attic.
And when she was up in the attic, she found this rolled up canvas. She didn't know what it was. She unrolled it, and she found this portrait. Now, getting close, you can see in what bad shape is in. These lines across here are where it was rolled up, you know. So it had to have been up in the attic, or it was hidden somewhere. Again, possibly from the time of the Civil War, when they hid things, and it just never got replaced, or what it was. So Barbara went on a campaign, and on the back of the portrait, it was signed Samsonov. So she, of course, did research on Samsonov, discovered he was a Russian painter, and tried to figure out what the painting is of. And she started a campaign to raise funds to restore and conserve the painting. Middleton donors were wonderful. We got enough money, and this is the end result. This is the Winter Gallery, or the Portrait Gallery at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. It's also called the Raphael Gallery, with, you know, these are all portraits, and you can get an idea of the size of this by the size of these people. These are not children, you know, but you also see the guard here, keeping track of what's going on. No funny business allowed.
Folks, I know I have a glare, but I'm trying to show you the colors in the picture.
Mhm.
So you can see those are adults there, the guard that Dottie's talking about, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch my light around so that you can see it without the glare. So bear with me, I know that it's there.
Okay, like,
Yeah, I'll just all right.
okay. The amazing thing about this painting is that in the 1830s, I think about 1837, there was a fire at the Winter Palace and the Hermitage, which were right there together. The Winter Palace was basically the museum, and then with rooms to live in. There was a fire that destroyed a great deal of this gallery, the military gallery, and this is the only image that I know of that's available of what this looked like before the fire.
Wow, so no wonder Barbara had a hard time identifying it.
Yeah.
People didn't know what
Didn't
it
know
was
what it was.
anymore.
So now there is a portrait of the military gallery that was done about the same time. And when the fire broke out, there were all sorts of portraits of French and Russian generals, military people, that they saved. And most of them were done by Dawes, who's the same one that did the Tsar's portrait there.
So we did have a question. Why was Henry eventually recalled by President Jackson?
Well, for one thing, he'd been there 10 years.
I mean, that would be my
And-
first guess.
And secondly, it was a change in political parties, you know, to Jackson and his Democrats from Monroe and the Federalists. So there was that going on. Politics had changed, and again, it had been 10 years. So
Y'all, there's nothing new under the sun. Every time a new party comes into power, new diplomats are assigned. It seems to have always been that way.
Yeah, and so they were anxious to get back too, because by this time, Oliver and John were both married, each of them had 2 children. You know, the younger boys were in positions. Mariah was actually close to 30. She was 28 when they came back. So for a young woman of this class to be unmarried at 28, you know, plus it was a real adjustment for them coming back.
Sure.
And even though John and Oliver had tried to keep the finances stable, when Henry came back, he went on a spending spree. So, you know, when you're gone, you get home, you want to fix things up and do whatever. So, okay, how are we set for time?
Oh, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Oops, I just turned the camera onto myself.
But you're so pretty.
No, I'm just trying to get my time here. Anyway, we're good.
Okay.
No worries.
So then, one of the other things that they brought back that to me is just absolutely amazing. This is a Gothic cathedral clock. It was made in France about 1815, and it is brass and uleman. I'm sorry, I forget the name of all of this gilding that's done on here. It is a alloy with gold and tin and copper, and then it is formed to make all of the doodads that are on it.
Sure.
And this one is really special. You know, we're used to cuckoo clocks and if you've ever been to Europe, the guys that go out and pound the hammer and whatever. But this, okay, now this will go on for a while, so.
So normally, folks, you see this from across a room. We don't let anybody get this close.
Okay, I turned it off too soon. We've got a monk pulling on the chimes, and the little bells up on top is going. And I had never seen one like this. Now this
incredible.
one, yeah, this one we haven't had fixed because it's very, very expensive to get them fixed.
I imagine
So we keep it turned off. Now, once Brother John here starts, he likes to go on for a while. But normally it would pound out the hours. And but this is a real treat because.
Folks, I have personally never seen this clock run, so this is incredible.
Okay, he'll be done in just a minute.
That's all right.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay,
And then the little doors close on him again.
Mm-hmm. He's back in his abbey. So, but just the
That is too beautiful.
work on here is amazing.
Absolutely. And you said it's probably French?
Probably French, yeah. It's Gothic. You know, it's a Gothic cathedral here. So we estimate about 1815 it was built. So again, they went through Paris, going and coming and going. So it's a strong possibility that they got it on their way home. We're not sure.
That's beautiful.
With that. Okay.
We did have a question about language, and thank you, Rakina, for answering it. Somebody wanted to know if the Middletons were required to learn the Russian language, and so if you could really quickly explain perhaps why not.
Okay. At that time, French was the international language of diplomats. So everyone spoke French.
Still is, isn't it?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it still is.
But the Middletons knew French, and that's one of the reasons why Henry got the appointment, because he was fluent in French. He was actually raised and educated by a French tutor who raised him, and then it was pretty much a standard thing for wealthy people at that time to understand French.
So not only was he fluent, but I heard he was really popular in court too. That was
Yeah.
one of the reasons why
Yeah.
they stayed so long, because he actually was popular and pleasant and could get things done.
Yes. And he was an expert negotiator.
Oh, cool.
So, he did, there was some problems with the Treaty of Ghent.
Uh-huh.
So he helped negotiate that between France and England,
Uh-huh.
I think.
Well,
Franco-Prussian?
mm-hmm.
No, I'm not sure. But the Treaty of Ghent, anyway.
Right, the end of the War of 1812.
1812, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he helped with that. And then everyone loved Mary Helen also. She was a real queen bee. And the girls were popular. They were with, we do have a diary that Eleanor kept while she was there. And it just talks, like it's daily. There's all these things they're going to. And it talks about how disappointed they were that they didn't get to go to the coronation of Nicholas II, because father went, but he couldn't afford to take the rest of them. It was in Moscow.
Oh,
and he couldn't
man.
afford to take them. And she just really whined, and Mariah whined that they didn't get to go, and all of life is,
Teenage girls.
Yeah,
what are you
teenage
going
girl
to do?
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's it for the Russian things that we have.
That's great. Everybody, make sure that you drop your questions in the comments. I know that you have been doing. We appreciate that. If you have any other questions that you'd like to ask Dottie, please do put them in the comments now. And if you think of something later on, or you plop something in there and I don't see it or we don't get to it, don't worry. I know where Dottie works, so I'll make sure to ask her so that we can get an answer typed to you later. We never leave these unanswered, so let us know if you have any questions. Can you tell us about the little lady above the clock here, because I think she's so perfectly placed, especially now having heard the clock run.
The paintings in this room are, I call them genuine reproductions.
Yeah.
It was a practice at the time when wealthy folks traveled around Europe, that if they saw a painting that they liked, they would get someone to copy it for them. So this is one of those, and I love the title, it's called Girl with Fingers in Her Ears. And
Creative.
yeah, it's, I want to say Gruen. I'm not sure who the author is. But yes, we have that. And then we have a Sybil here.
And the one above the mantle is a copy of a Raphael, isn't it?
Yes, it's a copy of a Raphael. And then the one over there, which is like a companion piece to me, to this one. I'm not sure what it's titled, but it's
Another girl.
a little bit, I don't want to say obscene, but it's
Yeah,
art.
it's a little risque.
And she's got a notebook on her lap. And so, this girl with notebook. But,
Oh, people want to know, so they lived in St. Petersburg the whole 10 years?
yes.
When Mariah came back at 28, did she get married?
She got married back here, yes.
Right.
She actually married, was a descendant, his name was, Edward Jenkins Pringle.
Okay.
Edward Jenkins Pringle. And he was related to the Alstons. So even though at that time there was no tie between the Middletons and the Alstons, she married an Alston. And this really sad thing about her is they got married in 1833 or 34. They had 2 children, a little girl and a little boy, and sadly we don't know their names. All the letters ever addressed them as the girl and the boy. But the family was going to Baltimore on the ship the Pulaski, and a boiler blew up, the ship blew up and sank, and they were all 4 killed.
Oh, man.
It was off the coast of North Carolina.
Yeah, so she
Yeah.
wasn't a spinster, but she did meet a tragic end. Thank you
Yeah.
for asking.
Yeah, she got married. Eliza got married much later to a gentleman from Philadelphia, and she moved to Philadelphia and was up there during the Civil War, but she remained a staunch Southerner and converted her husband to supporting the Southern cause. Edward got married, let's see, all the boys married. The only one that didn't was Catherine, and she lived with her mother her whole life. So after Henry died, Mary Helen went to Philadelphia and lived near Eliza and her family, and she passed away up there.
Great. Well, that's not great, but
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We did have a question come in about the House Museum being open. The House Museum is not open yet, folks. Our interior spaces are not open yet due to pandemic concerns, but the property is open. The gardens and stable yards are open for you to come and visit as you like, so we'd love to see you here. Please do let us know if you have any other questions or comments for Dottie. You can put them right in the comment section there. Otherwise, this has been wonderful, Dottie. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So if you all are interested in the early 19th century in Russia, and particularly the Middletons experience there, keep watching this week. We have a lot of great information, and we just got a question in about who's the lady over the red sofa. This is a Sibyl, which is like a fortune teller or soothsayer. I have an outfit like that. I wish I were kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you all so much. Stay tuned for more content with the Middleton family, Governor Henry, Mary, Helen Herring, their family and their household in Russia. We're going to talk more about it and the European continent all week long. So thank you so much, Dottie. Everybody, thanks for being here. Thank you for joining us and for helping us to continue our mission of sharing the past with the present and helping everyone to better understand ourselves and each other. This is Plugged into History by Middleton Place Foundation. If you have enjoyed this programming, we encourage you to keep coming back, keep watching. Make sure that you share with us what you're seeing and share with your friends what you're seeing. And if you're able and interested, you can always go to middletonplace.org to learn more, or middletonplace.org/donate if you'd like to contribute to this programming. So thank you all so much. Dottie, we have a million thank yous coming in the comments, so I'm going to have to go back and make sure you watch yourself in your beautiful presentation later on. Thanks so much, Dottie. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.